Hi, this is Shiree with Rehash Fiber. I've got a really fun project for you today, and I'm going to tell you all the reasons I think it's great. Welcome, fiber artists. So happy you're here today. I've got a pattern that I've just got to share with you. This is called the Simple Fade Shawl, and it is by Shannon of Blue Fern Fibers. I came up with 4 reasons why it is so great. The first one is, if you're just learning to knit, this is garter stitch, knitting on both sides. So you knit for days. You will then become a more experienced knitter because you will have knit hundreds and hundreds of stitches. So it's good for that. Number 2, if you by chance are switching from English style knitting to continental knitting, again, same concept, you're going to get a ton of practice working on your new style of knitting to get that good flow back into your knitting. So tons and tons. The third reason it's so great, it's a social project. You can do this while you're talking with your friends or anything else where your mind might be somewhere else, but you want to be knitting. It's very simple. You do the same thing for many, many rows. So just be mindful that it does change slightly midway through and pay attention to that, but otherwise you're just knitting along. Lastly, and this is the reason I did it, is it's a great stash buster. Perfect for using up remnants. I did the Hocus Pocus socks last October, and I had a fair amount of yarn left, enough to do this. So when I found the pattern, and I thought, boom, let's just get it going right now, get that yarn put right into something else. And another thing that's really great about it is that you have a lot of leeway. If you like knitting with bigger needles or thicker yarn, you can do that. Just be mindful, the look and the drape will be different. It'll get bigger with bigger needles and bigger yarn. If you like it more like this, a light little shawl, it was knit with a size 4 needles, fingering weight yarn. This is Emma's yarn, which is great. They sell that at 4 Pearls in Winter Haven, Florida, and I know they do sell it other places as well, and you can get it online. But in Emma's yarn, they have every color you could think of, and that is the joy of it. Also in different weights of yarn, so it's very handy when you need colors for a project. You can go there and get all the colors. Now, I do like when I have an epic failure to then use that so that you can learn from my mistakes, because yes, I do that. So I'm going to tell you what happened. All right, so changing colors, I decided I would use the magic knot. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking magic knot is magical. It will stay no matter what. I use it on the drive band for the great wheel. Now that is a piece of string that is under a lot of pressure, and that magic knot holds. So I'm thinking it will hold all the time. Well, I'm doing that when I run out of a color, because with this, I would just use up what I had, even mid-row, magic knot it, start the next color. I got a fair ways up, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, why is there a hole in my shawl? The magic knot slipped out, and that happened twice. Freaky. So luckily I could grab the 2 little ends and get it knotted together, and at that point I didn't care if you could see a knot. I just didn't want the whole thing unraveling, and I didn't want to have to backtrack. So when I got towards the end, I finally learned, don't try to save time by not having to weave in at the end. Go ahead. Leave the strands of yarn at the ends, start your new color at an end and weave in at the end, because after what happened, I would have been happier to know that, yeah, I had some work to do after it was done, weaving in all the ends. However, I'm not going to have these scary holes popping up, ruining all the work. Now I'm going to tell you my fix for the other, because there was quite a few magic knots in there that I'd done, and now I'm freaked out that they are going to pop open again. So I had a very fine tipped super glue where you can control how much comes out. And I dabbed super glue enough on it so that I knew the strands would be stuck together forever. However, I have little rough spots in the shawl. So I can feel it right here. There's a little rough thing. So at this point, I wouldn't be able to give this as a gift. However, if somebody wanted it and they knew there was that flaw and they were fine with that and loved it, then they could have it. But it most likely will be for me, and I won't mind my little rough spots because I enjoy the color and the lightweight of it so much. So don't make that mistake. It's just good to think about all options and then work it out for yourself. But you don't want holes in your project. So just remember that when you're doing the magic knot, if it's a slippery yarn, don't do it. I want to talk to you about the community coral reef. I did mention it a few months ago, but here's what's going on. An artist named Christina is heading this up. She is going to be doing a huge art exhibit of a coral reef of all fiber art made items. So you are invited to create something and donate it to the project. Check out the website. I will list below here, and you can find out all the information. You have until August of 2023 to get your item in. She's asking for anything that would be on a living reef, and it could be in colorful fibers or muted colored fibers, which is showing a bleached reef. And then she's also asking for man-made plastic items, which is also going to be part of the reef, showing the pollution problem that is in the ocean. So it's very educational. The fun thing is I'm going to be joining her in Northern Washington when she is doing her artist in residency. They're going to be creating pieces and starting to put it together. I'm going to go out there and document it for all of us. So what I want to ask of you is, if you do take part in this and you make something for the coral reef, you do send it directly to her. Please take a picture and send it to me. It'd be really cool just to know that if you learned of it here, it's happened and things have come full circle and you made something for that. And of course, I'll talk about it on the show. And we are just one big community, and that is what is so much fun about doing this show. So on that note, everybody, happy knitting for days and days if you do the Simple Fade Shawl, and thank you for watching.